Well, guys, the dishonest media is learning the hard way when it comes to President Trump. The media makes no bones about it, folks. They are willing to lie, to push an agenda, to push an anti-Trump agenda. They'll go along with whatever the left actually says, folks. From the Russia collusion hoax to Epstein to now the BBC. We talked about, guys, the BBC head resigning. I believe he was probably fired, forced out, because he was pushing a false narrative about President Trump inciting an insurrection on January 6, 2021. And we know, folks, for a fact that President Trump did not incite violence. The left kept pushing that, man. The deep state kept pushing that. And we all saw it, guys. President Trump told his supporters to go peacefully. Let their voices be heard. But of course, left Democrats, man, they don't actually believe in free speech. They don't. They really don't, man. They're communists. Okay? Communists don't like free speech. And it's really, really shameful, guys, that after all these years now, the BBC would actually be pushing propaganda. That's a lie. And two of their top heads have now resigned. They're out of there, folks. But folks, I knew that would not be enough. It would not be enough, folks, because guess what now? President Trump is about to make the BBC find out. Man, President Trump seems to be getting pretty wealthy off of these lawsuits, folks. Remember, ABC paid what, $15 million or something like that because George Stephanopoulos lied on TV. Yeah. Now that money's actually going to the Trump library. But still, man, Trump is collecting wins. And now the BBC is about to find out because they push lies also as well. Yeah. And it's a huge number, folks, that President Trump is looking to get from the BBC. So we have to see what happens, guys. But President Trump himself actually announced, yeah, the BBC is about to find out. Let's go ahead and get into it, guys. Here we go. Right over here. Trump to sue BBC for up to $5 billion over propagandistic January 6 speech edit. Yeah, they lied. They took his speech and tried to make it seem like President Trump was inciting an insurrection. Right here, it says President Donald Trump has said that he will be suing the BBC for between $1 billion and $5 billion for how the publicly funded news entity selectively edited to make it appear that Trump called for violence at the Capitol building on January 6, 2021 in a program released recently. And by the way, guys, even though the vast majority of Americans watch our videos here, believe it or not, guys, I found out we're actually funding the BBC. So essentially, guys, we were funding their lies. But let's listen into this clip here of President Trump announcing the bombshell lawsuit. Here we go.
So the BBC has apologised and retracted the report, but they say they won't pay any compensation.
Well, we'll sue them. We'll sue them for anywhere between $1 billion and $5 billion, probably sometime next week.
So you're ready to take?
Well, I think I have to do it. I mean, they've even admitted that they cheated. Not that they couldn't have not done that. They cheated. They changed the words coming out of my mouth. That's worse than what CBS did with Kamala. They changed her answer, but at least they didn't show it, coming out of her mouth.
Yeah, the BBC did some selective editing, folks. Selective editing to make it seem like President Trump was calling those people to violence. And he didn't. He didn't. And he's probably right, guys. This is worse than what happened with CBS and Kamala Harris, where they actually completely changed their answer. This is probably worse. But in case you guys did not see what the BBC did, watch this clip here. And you're going to see exactly what the BBC did. A lying news outlet. Let's play this.
Well, it's the biggest story in town. It turns out American President Donald Trump was onto something.
Where are you from?
BBC.
Okay. Here's another beauty.
It's a good line. Impartial, free and fair.
Yeah, sure.
Well, that criticism of the BBC and John Sopel, who was talking to there, apparently was well-founded, because the so-called impartial and accurate public service broadcaster is nothing but.
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
Can you state categorically that nobody... No, Mr. President...
Because tonight the BBC is facing serious questions over its credibility after the Daily Telegraph exposed a panorama segment that heavily doctored a speech by the American president in 2021, hours before the infamous January the 6th Capitol riot. As you're about to hear, the corporation spliced together two quotes 1 hour apart to make it seem like he encouraged an insurrection.
They played the following clip.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell.
But Trump didn't, in fact, say this at all. The BBC spliced together two clips that took place 54 minutes apart. So let's go through it again.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you.
Now, see there, between Capitol and, that's a cut. Here's what Trump actually said.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
It's different. It wasn't until nearly an hour later that he then said the second part of the BBC's version.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we fight. We fight like hell.
That is damning stuff. Now, this, of course, is coming from the holier-than-thou BBC that even has its own so-called fact-checking service named BBC Verify that they claim counters disinformation. Oh, the irony.
Funny. They have their own fact-checking, but they couldn't fact-check themselves. Boy, what a bunch of liars the BBC is. What a bunch of liars. I hope Trump gets a huge settlement from this, guys. I really do. I mean, guys, just imagine, man, how many people, man, got to pay up for President Trump? Because they're still out there pushing lies. I mean, MSNBC, when it comes to Jen Psaki, I believe they need to get sued now because they're pushing lies about Trump and Epstein. What Jen Psaki said was unacceptable. And I believe that they should find out too, man. These liberal media outlets, man, these leftist media outlets need to find out. They're liars. They are complete liars, man. They've been pushing lies about Trump for I don't know how long. 10 plus years, man. But before he actually decided to run for president, man, they all love Trump. Trump, man, he was a star on TV. Real estate Mongol. He was out there in movies, TV shows, hanging out with rappers. But when he said, I'm going to run for president as a Republican, oh no, all of a sudden now he's racist, right? Even though Al Sharpton and his organization gave Trump an award back in the 80s. Yeah, it's all propaganda, folks. All propaganda, man. And it's completely backfiring on them. Yeah, 5 billion. Hey, how about 10 billion? How about just bankrupt the BBC? And I don't want to pay for them. I really don't. Cut off their money, man. U.S. citizens should not be paying for propaganda of the BBC. Should not be happening, folks. So they have, man, the BBC is about to pay the price. About to pay the price. This is big. They had to know that this lawsuit was coming. I knew it, folks, and it's going to happen. That's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and White Network fans, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you next time.